Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Honor the Land, presented by FanDuel on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and it is officially game week. The Cleveland Browns host the Cincinnati Bengals at 1 p.m. Eastern this Sunday. It has been such a long time coming. Football is officially back at the time of recording this as well. Zay, did you catch any of the game last night, the Thursday night game, Cowboys-Eagles? It was a crazy game.
I did catch the game. I caught the interesting first half, and then I know you experienced the delay in person, so I can't wait to hear about that whole experience. Yeah. But shout out FanDuel. I hit my first parlay of the year. Did you hit any bets to start the year off?
I did not. None yesterday, actually. It was a tough night, but that's okay. You know, we'll get back on the horse tonight. We'll see what happens with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, the delay was weird. I mean, it was exactly how I expected a weather delay to go. They pretty much pushed all of us to the concourse, but I'm sure you saw it. A couple of my friends were texting me too. There was literally nobody in the stands. They asked us to leave the stands, which makes sense, safety precaution, but had to have been so weird just looking at a stadium that's end of the third quarter. And also, right after the Eagles made a huge momentum-changing play, they forced that fumble on Miles Sanders. It was weird, the momentum for both teams, but especially the Eagles completely faltered after that. It was a great game. Dak Prescott played out of his mind. He played out of his mind. I was very impressed with him. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb had those drops, but I mean, they're not even in that game without him to begin with. So, you know, you can only critique him so much, but it was a good game. It was a good game. The more important game is this Sunday, though, at 1 p.m., and I cannot wait for it. And there's been a little back and forth. We talked about it before we went on about Jamar Chase, Grant Delpit, Denzel Ward saying, throw the ball at me. What have you made of that so far? Is it just a trash talk, the yearly Jamar Chase comments?
It's not I mean, this is part of the rivalry now. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that they are living up for. Not only have you heard it from Denzel World. Why I can't get people's names right today. Not only have you heard it from Denzel Ward, but we've heard this from Greg Newsome too. I think back to the interview that I had earlier in the offseason, and he talks about how the games when they play the Bengals are just a little bit different, because I asked him which rivalry means the most. And a lot of Browns fans would probably agree that the Steelers are the number one team that they hate the most. But these guys get up for these Bengals, and I don't know what it is. It might be just the competition, knowing the level of T. Higgins and Jamar, so they get the best out of themselves. But this is a match that they circle on their calendar and they wake up for. So I'm super, super excited to see Greg Newsome back on his natural position on the outside. I'm super excited to see Cam Mitchell get an opportunity to make some plays, because if this defensive line is what we keep hyping it up to be, the defensive backs will have an opportunity to get a little tricky and make some plays. So I'm super excited for this matchup.
I'll predict it right now. If the Cleveland Browns can get, I'll say 2 takeaways, they can win this game. And
we need to.
What'd you say?
We need to. Like, it's a must.
Yes.
It's the only way.
Or win the takeaway battle by more than one. Like, if the Browns allow the Bengals to play clean football, they're not winning the game. Like, there's no reality in that. But again, like you said, that defensive line is going to get after Burrow and hopefully force him to make some throws that he does not want to make. But I mean, the secondary has to hold up. To me, that's the biggest key to this game. And it goes, I said it either last week or 2 weeks ago, it goes so far beyond Jamar Chase and Denzel Ward. I almost think of that matchup as a wash. Like, Denzel Ward's going to get his. Jamar Chase is going to get it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The other matchups are where this game is going to be won and lost. Not just T. Higgins, Greg Newsome, however they play that out. Andre Yoshivas on the inside, and even Jermaine Burton a little bit, we wait to see, against Cam Mitchell, I think has the potential to be a game-deciding matchup. Because if you're the Browns, you trust Greg Newsome, you obviously trust Denzel Ward, that third threat, Joe Burrow's third option. Where is he going to look? Andre Yoshivas, a guy who's had some success against the Browns, especially in that game in Cincinnati last year. That is what I am looking at most specifically as it relates to that secondary. Again, I said it a couple weeks ago. Obviously I care about the Denzel Ward, Jamar Chase matchup, but I'm almost just like pushing it to the side, because Denzel Ward can eliminate half the field. And then, you know, Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the NFL. He's going to get his on Denzel Ward at times too. So I almost don't think about that one and just say, yep, the two best in the NFL can go at it. What about everybody else?
I think the biggest key is going to be getting a lead. I talked about it a couple times in previous shows, just about how much fun the defense was in 2023 when we actually had a lead. But it's even more important now to get a lead in front of Joe Burrow, in front of this high-powered offense. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the next thing where they just need to find a way to keep Joe Burrow off the field. You're not going to stop Joe Burrow. He's going to get his, just like our defense, I think will get his, kind of like how you mentioned the Denzel Ward and Jamar Chase thing. They're both going to get theirs at the end of the day. But I think if the Browns can come out and get a lead and just make it a little bit more tougher than just saying, because I mentioned it last week or this past week on the Roundtable show where you don't want to see this team and Kevin Stefanski's offense play from behind. It's not fun. It's probably one of the worst things to watch just because of you expect a lot of 3-and-outs. You expect a lot of conservativeness throughout the game when he's down, and that's just not a game that this team wants to play. If they can come out and start fast, and we can see Myles Garrett get comfortable, and we can see Jim Schwartz dial up tricky schemes on 4- and 5-man rushes, it'll make their day a lot more harder. So I'm hoping that we can get this ball to start. Don't defer to the second half. Take this ball and go punch it in for a signature 10-play, 9-minute drive touchdown like Kevin Stefanski does week in and week out.
Yeah, I'm with you. The comfort thing is the biggest thing. You literally took the words right out of my mouth. I'm not talking about the Browns being comfortable, though. I want Joe Burrow to not be comfortable. I want the Bengals to be uncomfortable. And to be honest with you, it's weird because the Bengals are so pass heavy that you think they would feel somewhat comfortable playing from behind because if you're going to have to air the ball out, that's what they're best at. But at the same time, how comfortable will Joe Burrow be in that scenario if they're down by a possession where Myles Garrett, Alex Wright, happy birthday, Alex Wright, by the way, Isaiah McGuire, all those guys are pinning their ears back and going to get him against an offensive line that they probably know is outmatched. Like they're going to do everything they can to chip Myles Garrett, to keep extra guys in protection. I find it so hard to believe that they're going to go 5-on-4 against this Browns defensive line on meaningful 2nd and longs and 3rd downs and have success with it. That the offensive line, and since he's just not that good.
We just got breaking news too. Mike Hall has been ruled out for the Bengals game, and Myles Garrett does not have an injury status, meaning he'll play barring a setback. So positive news. We kind of talked about it before the show came on that Mike Hall, we weren't holding our breath. It would kind of be nice to just get, but it was nice to see him actually be limited. So it means that he's there on the horizon. But any thoughts on Mike Hall and Myles Garrett?
Honestly, I'm impressed that Mike Hall's status was even a question this week. Like, I did not think there was a chance he played week 1 when it was the Ravens game, the last game of the year he got injured, I believe. There was no shot in my mind that he would be able to play week 1. Obviously, there was a shot. If it was a good shot, that's another question. But no, walking into it, it's hard to expect him to play. But it's Mason Graham, it's Malik Collins, it's Shelby Harris. It's all those guys on the inside, very interestingly, against a younger Bengals offensive line who has a guy, Dylan Fairchild, who has been exceptional in the preseason. Really, really good. I'm not going to sit here and say this Bengals offensive line can match up one-on-one against the Browns all across, but Dylan Fairchild is a guy who has been very, very good in the preseason, and him and Mason Graham, 2 rookies, going to be going at it. I'm very excited for that. Wish Mike Hall was out there. It would have made even more of a difference in the matchup that I think will decide this game for the Browns, but unfortunately not. Before we move on and talk about the offense, defense, though, another piece of news we need to talk about, the logo, the center of the field is now the helmet. I'm a big Brownie the Elf guy. I love Brownie the Elf at the center of the logo, but I'm curious, Zay, what is your favorite midfield logo for the Browns?
I don't have a problem with any of them, honestly. Here's where I have the problem. Can we embrace one logo and run with it?
Yes.
Like 1 year we're pushing the dog helmet, another year we're pushing Brownie the Elf. Now we're back to pushing the helmet. I'm an old school guy. I like the original, like the other Brownie Elf too. So like I have no problem if they want to decide to switch up these logos, but let's just embrace one and let's run with it. So maybe that's kind of what they're doing these last few years before they go into Brook Park, before they solidify themselves. Or do you think they'd even go to a stretch of creating a new logo?
Ooh, I don't know. What I immediately just thought of when you said that, though, you're right. The Browns can't really commit to a midfield logo. Brook Park is on the horizon. I'm almost wondering if they're trying the logos out, like you just mentioned, and going to run a poll or something for all these Browns fans at the end of the year or end of the 4 years before Brook Park from now till then and say, hey, we ran these 4 logos these past 4 years. Which one do you guys like the most? And who knows if they make a decision off of that, but they could totally be gauging interest in the fan base. I don't know. I'm a Brownie the Elf guy. I think it looks really cool. I think as the year goes on as the games go on and the field looks a little more tarnished, I think it's very gritty. I think it embraces what the city is when you start to see the paint on his pants literally fade, get dirtier like paint on normal football pants would. But yeah, you're right. They can't commit to anything, which is weird.
It's all right, though. There's a lot of things that they're probably trying to figure out if they want to commit to, but we can get to that at a later date. It's week 1. I'm not going to try to go down that path.
It's week 1. We're going to talk offense and the breakdown against Cincinnati Bengals defense up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and we have been waiting months to get into some type of breakdown for a real meaningful football game. We finally have it. We're going to start with the Browns offense against the Bengals defense in this segment, and then we're going to switch to the other side. Zay, I'll start by asking you, we get on this show, we talk about the players we like and the matchups we like all the time. Give me one player you're looking at offensively or one matchup you're looking at offensively for the Browns if they want to take advantage of this Bengals defense that we all think, based on last year, may not be very good.
It's only one answer, and it's the obvious answer. All eyes have to be on Joe Flacco. This thing will go as far as Joe will take us. I know a lot of fans, and I'm sure this team was relying on 10 to be that guy to kind of, put the thing on his back, but even if 10 was here, the quarterback play is what has been hindering this Cleveland Browns team for the past years. And we saw what Kevin Stefanski could do when he does have competent quarterback play. And I always like to say my favorite sentence, there's been a lot of quarterbacks in the Kevin Stefanski era, but none of them has looked as good as Joe Flacco. So if Joe Flacco can come out here, obviously limit the turnovers, I'm always good to pencil in Joe for one, so I can deal with that, and I think this team can also deal with that. But if Joe Flacco's doing 300 yards a game and 2-3 touchdowns, I don't care what team we're going up against. Our defense is going to give us an opportunity to be competitive, and our offense is going to be able to throw blow for blow with you. So all eyes on Joe Flacco. What's the temperature?
I don't know. I think when you look at Flacco and when you look at the offense, it's a comfort thing. They got to take care of the football. They have to play the Browns brand of football. It's funny. I saw a tweet a couple of days ago talking about what the New York Jets are trying to do offensively, and it's like play keep away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. If the Browns play keep away from Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, I'll have no issue with it.
See, here's I do have an issue with that, and I don't want to cut you off to do that, but here's why, though. The only reason why I have a problem with that is because think about in the past years of Kevin Stefanski and his era. What has always happened whenever we've had a lead going into that third and fourth quarter? He's always played conservative. He's always tried to play keep away, and that always ends up in blowing the lead. This is the year I want them to put their foot on the gas. Like, I don't want to just be comfortable. I don't want to just try to play keep away. I want them to be ruthless and gutless. I want them, we got 30 points. Let's go put 40 up there. And that's something that we have very rarely seen Kevin Stefanski do. And I think that is something that you really can't do against a guy like Joe Burrow, because if you give him any glimpse of hope, no lead is too big for Joe Burrow. They have to be aggressive.
That's fair. I don't know if they have the firepower to play like that. I'm going to be real. I think the strengths of this Cleveland Browns offense right now are the offensive line when healthy, the tight end room, which is what I'm going to talk about here in a minute, and Joe Flacco's ability to manage games. I'm not calling him a game manager, even though he can do that. He's a good quarterback who can make most, if not every throw in the book, but he's been in the NFL for almost 2 decades. He can manage a game. He knows how to take care of a game as it relates to situations, the scoreboard, everything like that. Like, to me, this is not a Browns offense with Flacco throwing to, the receiver room when Odell and Jarvis were here, and it was firepower everywhere. This is Flacco taking care of the football, and I think we saw it in the preseason game against the Rams. I don't want to put too much stock into that, but you look at a lot of these completions. They're checkdowns. They're checkdowns to Jerome Ford, to Dylan Sampson, to David Njoku. Obviously, you have the bigger plays over top, and if we're being real, the Browns have an advantage over the top against the Bengals, and they'll take their shots. But this Stefanski offense, and he's talked about it, we heard him talk about it, they're going to want to run the ball more. And inherently, I think that feeds into the keep away, quote unquote, strategy, but I think you can play keep away without being conservative. I do think there's a difference. I think you can take your shots when it makes sense. If the Browns are playing from behind, like you said, I also don't love where the offense would be at. I think they have to keep it close if they want a chance to win this game.
See, but you mentioned the offense and the firepower. You would have looked at this roster in 2023 and said, okay, what firepower is different? Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy is a wash right now, and you are 100% taking Jerry Jeudy over Amari Cooper, especially since he retired.
Yeah.
David Njoku's still here. Elijah Moore, do you like Jamari Thrash or Elijah Moore better? They didn't utilize Elijah Moore to his full capability. Jerome Ford, still here. Cedric Tillman, still here. David Bell, still here, not playing. Akins better than Harold Fannin Jr.? No. Kareem Hunt. Obviously, the running back room is a little bit different, but you're looking at this roster, and it's almost better than what it was in 2023.
Oh, no, it is better. The offensive line is way better. They had tackles rotating in and out when Flacco was playing. It's a good point. I'm with you. I think, especially this week against the Bengals defense that, like we've talked about, has struggled in the past. I love it. But, Stefanski's talked about so much going back to that brand of football. I don't know if the Browns will set themselves up for success by being wildly aggressive, trying to walk out there and be like, hey, we're going to go put up 35 points on these guys, even though they can. We know they can. Compared to, we're going to stick to the game plan. We've had 6 months to prepare for this. We have the opportunity, what we think, on the ground to stay ahead of the chains. I would not be upset if it was a shootout and the Browns put up a ton of points and, they beat the Bengals 34-31. I think the Bengals have the offensive firepower. I don't want to say score on every drive, but to have a lot of success offensively right now, I think you have to keep the ball away in some capacity from Joe Burrow. It's the old Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes adage. How do you beat those guys? You don't even give them a chance. And if I'm the Browns, I don't want to give Joe Burrow a chance.
That just comes with those long, dreadful drives that Kevin Stefanski's so good at dialing up. You keep talking about the run game, and I think obviously we need a run game, but I don't think he's even talking about going back. The Kevin Stefanski offense was never a 20-plus run game anyway. Like we need a couple home runs, we need some move the chains, we need about 4.5 yards per carry, and then I'm gonna go back here to 2023 again with Joe Flacco. The last 5 games that he played, 309, 368, 374, 311, 251. We put up 36 points, 31 points, 20, 36, and 37. So you can keep. I think we could have a shootout if we need it, only because of the quarterback play. Like, I know we're putting a lot. That's why you asked me who my one player is. Jerome Ford could come out here and rush for 17 yards, $120. David Njoku could catch 5 balls and have 70 yards and a touchdown. But, like, if Joe Flacco isn't having this machine running, and having this offense looking competent, it don't matter how, long we keep the ball away from Joe Flacco. If we only putting up 7 points and 10 points, that's not going to be good enough. We need JoJo to come out here and put some points up on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're going to beat the Bengals, you have to score 20 plus. I think that's the reality of it, just because they're going to make plays. They're going to take shots. They're going to succeed on them. We've seen it against the best defenses in the NFL really the past couple of years, but last year especially. And this Bengals offense, in my opinion, might even be a little bit better than it was last year. As wild as that sounds, I think the offensive line has a little more potential this year than they did last year. With that being said, though, I'll go back to the air. I think the Browns have a very unique opportunity to exploit the matchups they're going to get at the tight end position. And this has minimal to do with Kevin Stefanski's offense and having this identity of wanting to stay in 12 personnel or drafting Harold Fannin Jr. as early as they did. This more has to do with what the Bengals really struggled with last year. They were bottom 5 in tight end production, yards, receptions, as well as tight end target rate, like inline tight end target rate. They were targeted within the top 5 in terms of percentage, how often at that position compared to in the slot, out wide, check downs to running backs. Teams exploited it a ton last year, and it worked. And the Browns are going to continue to do it. I think they're going to get plenty of opportunities where David Njoku's going up on the seam, and he has a linebacker in his low hip, and he's going to get a jump ball where Joe Flacco knows how to place it perfectly. I think you're going to get plenty of opportunities where Harold Fannin Jr. is coming across the field on a play action after a good run. They are going to have so many opportunities. And I'm almost worried for our sake, because we were hyping Jerry Jeudy up all offseason, Cedric Tillman up all offseason, that the two most productive pass catchers in this game might actually be both tight ends.
I mean, I think there's a lot of mouths to feed, and I agree with you, especially knowing how much Stefanski loves his tight end. If you can't tell me nothing, we saw Harrison Bryant taking snaps at quarterback for 1 yard rushes, bro. Like, Harold Fannin is going to be used to the max, but you made a very good point on those seam routes. Like, year in and year out, it seems like we're always like, man, why can't we just give our receiver an opportunity? Why can't we just throw it up and let them go do that? You know who does that? Good old Flacco. Yeah. Flacco is not going to be afraid to throw that ball in the seam or give his one-on-one tight end an opportunity against a linebacker. So that's what I'm just so excited to see stuff that we saw in 2023 that we didn't see last year and that we didn't even see before 2023. So this is a big year, man. There's a lot riding, and no better way than to kick an AFC North ass opponent week 1 at home. Like, for a team who be talking a lot too.
Yes, exactly. And they do. And I get it. They have a lot of firepower defensively. Like, you have to think they believe they can't be worse than they were last year, as bad as that sounds. I am so fascinated by this matchup. We'll talk defense here in a second, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Trey Hendrickson and his matchup against these tackles. I mean, regardless of where he's going to line up, they may move him around. We don't really know. I trust the guys the Browns have, and I trust Kevin Stefanski's commitment, especially when you have 2 tight ends on the field, becomes a lot easier, to giving DeJuan Jones, Jack Conklin help, because as good as those guys are, as much as we love them, time and time again, if they're going to get one-on-ones with Trey Hendrickson is probably going to beat him a couple times. That's just the reality of it. How are they going to give Hendrickson help? How are they going to give some of the interior guys some help? Can they allow for these play action shots where a center or a guard is checking in with the interior, then coming around to help a free rusher like Trey Hendrickson? I'm really fascinated to see how the offensive line holds up against the pass rush, because I do think the Browns will have a lot of success on the ground. I think they match up very well. And I think this offense is almost unpredictable to this point, where if you're the Bengals, you're walking in, you don't know which Stefanski brand you're getting, literally because there were so many quarterbacks and you had to tailor the offense to all these different quarterbacks past couple of years. I think the Bengals are walking into the run game a little bit blind. I think the Browns have an advantage there. If they can keep Joe Flacco upright, which also partially comes from just staying ahead of the chains, they're going to be in really good shape offensively. I really like the matchup.
Well, you can book a lot. I think we're going to see a little of that good old-fashioned trickery. I predicted it a few BTSs ago, first play of the game. We're going to see Isaiah Bond on a wraparound for a 10-yard game. They've been raving about this Isaiah Bond. I think it was was it Kevin Stefanski or was it Tommy Rees? Somebody just came out and was, going above and beyond to say things about Isaiah Bond. He could be a real X factor here moving forward. So I can't wait to see what the young cat got there. I just want to see Kevin Stefanski's offense again at this point to see if my mind is playing tricks on me or not.
Yeah, the real true Stefanski offense, which again looked very different over the past couple of years with all these quarterbacks. We'll give our predictions on that end because I know you got a hot take with Isaiah Bond. I got a couple other hot takes. We'll do that at the very end, but we do need to talk the other side of the ball. Defense up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Who doesn't love having everything at their fingertips? With Pure AV's smart home automation, you can seamlessly manage your home's audio, video, lighting, security, and more, all with a simple touch. Create a sanctuary that embodies your unique style and personalized features that bring comfort to every moment. Sit back, relax, and let Pure AV bring convenience and control to your home. Visit us at pureavcorp.com today.
Welcome back into Honor Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. Now we need to talk about the other side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, which I think is where the game will be won for the Cleveland Browns. Let's talk trenches first because we've kind of beat a dead horse talking about how good the Browns defensive line is compared to the Bengals offensive line, which I do think truly has potential because of the younger guys on it, but an offensive line that just isn't as good as the Browns defensive line. Is there anybody in particular along the defensive line that you're looking at, Zay, outside of Myles Garrett? Because we know Myles Garrett is going to get his, but also going to get double teamed and open some lanes up for everybody else.
Yeah, there's a few actually, but I'll single out a couple. I do think that we'll see a sack from either Alex Wright or Isaiah McGuire. I'm almost torn to say both, but I think we'll see one for sure. Also, like I said, shout out to my dog, Alex Wright. Happy birthday, big dog. Go crazy. Gonna be some extra motivation there, but Alex Wright, it's so unfortunate for him last season that he had to go through that injury because he truly was starting to turn into a player that could be disruptive. I mean, we don't win that Jacksonville game if he doesn't get that sack in the back of the end zone. So I think he's gonna have that edge. But Isaiah McGuire, there's something about him that the way that he flashes has game record written all over it, and I'm going to go Isaiah McGuire. I think Isaiah McGuire is going to pull himself a sack, so I'm definitely going to be watching those two.
I like that. Isaiah McGuire sack. I like that. I mean, yeah, the guys on the edge are going to have to be the difference makers on third down. I, again, talked about Mason Graham a little bit. I'm more interested in seeing how they get there because the last thing you can ever do against a team like the Bengals is let them get ahead of the chains. If they're running the ball well with Chase Brown, getting into 2nd and 4s, 3rd and 2s where they feel comfortable going for it on 4th down, they're going to air it out. And when they air it out, they're airing it out to the best receiver in the NFL and another 6'3", 6'4" matchup nightmare. Even though we all love Greg Newsome, that's a tough cover. Bigger body guys are tougher covered for smaller guys. We all know this. They're going to air it out down the field to those guys, which I like the Denzel Ward matchup on Jamar Chase. At the end of the day, it still is the best receiver in the NFL. I don't know if I can trust a jump ball down the field with really any DB on the Browns against T. Higgins. It's scary. It's scary, but they can minimize those situations if they stop up the run. So I'm looking at the interior guys, Mason Graham, Malik Collins, Shelby Harris, any of those guys really just to make an impact. Like all it takes to stop a drive, I'm not going to say stop a drive, but dramatically affect a drive is a TFL on a 1st down or a 2nd and medium, 2nd and long. If you can get those guys, Aiden Huntington, any of those guys, you are putting that Bengals offense in an extremely unfavorable position. I think if you ask anybody in Cincinnati or Kentucky what the issue would be if they were to lose this game, it would be the Browns got after the quarterback on 3rd down. They're going to try to minimize that by running the ball, I think, a little bit more than we expect. If they get into those 3rd and longs, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see how Mason Graham is on single coverage. Like, we've seen him get doubled a lot of this preseason, so we really haven't got to see him go one-on-one with somebody. And then Malik Collins has kind of just went under the radar. I think the little time that he did play, he ended up having one of those TFLs that you're talking about on a run play. So Malik Collins is going to be somebody that's very interesting because we brought Dalvin Tomlinson in to be that guy that could stuff the middle up. And I don't want to say he was very par. It wasn't anything above. It wasn't anything under. He was very serviceable for what we needed. But can Malik Collins be a little bit better than par? Can he be a little bit more disruptive? Jim Schwartz talked about in one of his press conferences the other day where he talked about getting back to the identity of what this defense really was, yes, and getting back to playing fast and that thing. And you can see how they kind of did that in this offseason and the pieces that they added. So I said it last week. I'll say it again, man. I know Jim Schwartz is salivating at the mouth to get these guys out there to play with his new toys.
Yeah, and I know you'll talk about Carson Swester a little bit more, but the big thing that I've talked about with JOK really the past 2 years is a guy like that. I'm referring to Swestinger, but talking about JOK just because they were both athletic and pull the trigger, go play downhill. Guys like that, you almost don't want them to think. Obviously, know their assignment and know their role. But if guys like Mason Graham, Malik Collins, Aiden Huntington, Shelby Harris are, number one, putting the Browns defense holistically in positions where Jim Schwartz can be aggressive and send those guys on blitzes. But number two, just eating double teams, making life hard, winning at the line of scrimmage against these interior guys. If you keep those guys clean, they're going to be unstoppable. Carson Swester, going to be unstoppable, I think, in a lot of aspects. But if the D-line can keep him clean, oh my gosh, you're going to look at, like you've talked about, Zay, a defensive rookie of the year candidate. That's the reality with it. Now, so much easier said than done, and I think the Browns get a decent test on the inside against these guys. Ted Karras actually just got extended today officially with Cincinnati, one of the best centers in the league. They're going to get a decent test, but if they're going to get knocked back and win the line of scrimmage, the linebackers are going to change the game. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, you talk about guys just getting able to play free, and I think they're going to have that luxury this year because they finally have the guy in the middle. Having Carson Swessinger is so major. Like, I get, like, I'm on the JOK train with everybody. I understand what he brings to the table. JOK was not a middle linebacker. He wasn't the guy in the middle. We want JOK to be that guy roaming free like Terrell Suggs and like these other guys that just caused havoc every play. Let him be that guy. Carson Swessinger is going to be the brains of the operation. He's going to be the surgeon in the middle of that field. He's going to be calling out different things that other players like Devin Bushes and Mohamed Diabates aren't going to have to worry about, and the Jerome Bakers of the world. So with Carson Swessinger being in the middle, if he could live up to the expectation that I'm setting onto him, you're gonna be seeing a lot of guys just going out and playing football like chicken with their heads cut off because they can just play freely and 100%. Not have to think so much.
100%. I'll ask you, secondary included, can't say Carson Swessinger, can't say Myles Garrett. The biggest difference maker in this game on the defensive side of the ball, who do you think it is?
Oh, you should have singled out one more guy because that's not fair.
Oh, Denzel. Okay, you can't say any of the big three. Let's say the big three on each level. I think I have an answer. I'm curious to know yours, though.
We might have the same answer. So I'm trying to debate, do I want to go off? I'm not going to go off. Grant Delpit. This has got to be his year. Yeah. Grant Delpit, he got his contract. We know the game that he can play. We know the talk that he can talk. But this is if he wants to solidify himself as one of these top safeties in the league, this is going to be the year that he has a prime opportunity to do that. And if Grant Delpit can roam around, make some big plays, maybe get an interception or two, can fill up the box like he likes to roam, it'll do numbers for this defense, and it'll take the pressure off a little bit of Cam Mitchell and Greg Newsome because, I mean, after Cam Mitchell, you got Miles Harden, a 7th-round guy last year. Obviously, Ronnie Hickman's going to be another guy you got to look at to help out, but the secondary is a little thin without Martin Emerson, so Grant Delpit's got to elevate his game this year.
Yeah, I think I was deciding between him and Newsome. I mean, those are the two obvious guys, I think, outside of the big three, but just because we've talked about the secondary so much and the matchups with Newsome all offseason, I'm going to talk about Mason Graham again. Like, I think if you want to make a statement, not only with the draft pick trade, taking him at 5, you have to, and I know, I think Dalvin Tomlinson's departure is downplayed a little bit. I don't think people are going to realize how big of a loss that is, especially if you want to get back to 2023. That defense started with him in 2023. If Mason Graham can come in and fill 75% of those shoes, this defense is going to be noticeably better. And I think there's a really good opportunity, again, Cincinnati is a team that we all know Joe Burrow throws the ball. They're very high in pass frequency. A lot of that was because they're losing. So they're going to try to run the ball and stay ahead of the chains so they can neutralize this Browns pass rush. The way the Browns stop that is stopping the run. And that's Mason Graham to me. I think Mason Graham is the key to this game. If he can get after the quarterback, if he can stop up the middle, he can eat double teams, let the Carson Schlesingers play fast. Let the Grant Delpits come down and play fast. This defense is going to fly around again. The Bengals are going to get theirs. That's the reality of it. It's good offense. But that, I think, is the big difference here, stopping up the run against this Cincinnati Bengals
I'll give you a bigger key before we depart off that. The bigger key is going to be one of our captains, Corey Bojorquez.
Field position.
Because if we can get that field position battle, and then, hey, Andre Schmidt,
yeah,
we got a new leg out there. But just think about this: if our defense can come out and start fast, and we can pin Joe Burrow back into that 5-yard line, think about the defense that we gonna see. Yeah. Joe Burrow gonna have to get rid of that ball quick. So Corey Bojorquez, MVP last year, can he do it again this year? I mean, I don't know.
We will see. We'll talk a little bit more about predictions at the very end, but we're going to take a break. Come back up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Tired of your old and outdated bathroom? Well, now's the perfect time to upgrade with Smart Choice Baths. We are family owned and operated and can install your bathroom as quick as 1 day. And all bathrooms come with a limited lifetime warranty. Smart Choice Baths can turn your bathroom into this. And right now, for all Big Play viewers, we're offering $1,500 off all bathroom projects with an additional 10% off. To claim this special offer, call or click today.
Welcome back into Honor the Land, presented by FanDuel on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. And this show, like I just said, is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel is getting you ready for the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is almost here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Ohio, 21 plus and present in Ohio. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. With the Browns-Bengals on deck, we are launching our first of hopefully many Honor the Lay, a parlay for this Cleveland Browns-Cincinnati Bengals game. Now, this is not advice. Tail at caution with your own risk in mind. But we each have a leg. Pat, I'm going to bring you on here in a second to talk about the leg. I'll kick us off. I talked about tight end usage. I know this may be a keep away game, but the matchup's too good for David Njoku. I love the matchup, the frequency he should be targeted at, the pass production, especially with Joe Flacco at quarterback. When Flacco was quarterback, he averaged roughly 9 targets a game, 6 catches a game, 80-plus yards a game. I think you can cut that in half, and as one of the legs, add David Njoku more than 40 yards. Zay, you want to give your leg?
Oh, I thought, my bad. I thought you were going to,
No, feel free. Add yours.
Yeah, so I'm going to go, we talked about him earlier in the show. You asked me who my one guy on offense to watch was. Joe Flacco, 225. I really like his over at the 246 or whatever it is. I think we're going to see Joe Flacco. One thing we know, if given the opportunity, he going to throw the damn ball. And I just keep envisioning, I think over under for Jerry Jeudy is set at 4.5. I don't know if he hits the 4.5, but I keep seeing Jerry Jeudy just going across the field and running for a lot of yak. So maybe he has 3 or 4 catches for 100 yards. And if he's got 100, that means David Njoku probably got 70. And if he got 70, that means Jerome Ford probably got about 30. And if he got 30, that probably mean Harold Fanning caught a touchdown. So I was like Cedric Tillman, 225 is a lock.
I like that. So Joe Flacco, 225 plus, Dave Njoku, 40 plus, a little bit of a correlation there, which is good. Obviously, that'll affect the odds. But Pat, you have a smoking hot take you want to bring on here to really boost the odds on this.
Yeah, guys, I got to go with the Jerome Ford anytime touchdowns. We had it earlier today on the big factor, but this Bengals run defense, they've had a lot of improvements. Shamar Stewart, Trey Hendrickson back in the building. I just like this Kevin Stefanski offense. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, but also it frees up the run game. Jerome Ford, book it, touchdown.
I love it. So that, I believe right now is at plus 326, may change, subject to change, obviously, as the game approaches. But that is what we will be on. Again, this is not advice. You can ride at your own caution if you'd like. However, we are going to talk our predictions as well as players to watch up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Welcome back into Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. We already talked about a couple players we want to watch, but we're going to give you one highlighted player on each side of the ball that we think will be the biggest difference makers in this game. We're not limiting this to certain players on each side of the ball. Offense, defense, biggest difference makers. Zay, I'll let you go first. Come back to me. I'll give you both of mine in a row, and you can give me your final one. Who do you think offense, defense, holistically, Cleveland Browns, biggest difference maker in this game?
I gave you Flacco. I feel like if I want to stick with Flacco, but I kind of want to go a little bit deeper than that and get a little quirky, but then that's kind of defeating. I'm going to go Flacco, but I also think that an injury that has kind of been underplayed, that kind of went under the radar, having Ethan Posick back is so huge. You don't want to go into this to week one or any week really without your starting center. Having Ethan Posick back at center and him being healthy at these past couple practices is so big for the Browns. You have no idea, because if I remember correctly, Luke didn't look too hot in the preseason for what I remember, if they're what they were saying. I know it's hard to watch a center, but I'm glad that Ethan Posick is back. So I'll give our center some love and say that's a huge piece to have back.
Yeah, I'm going to ride that with you. I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit here, but I'm just going to go the offensive line. I think if you want to win this game against the Bengals, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that this Bengals defense isn't good, but it's so much easier said than done. If the Browns truly want to take advantage of Bengals defense that wasn't great last year, they have to control the line of scrimmage. I think that starts on early downs running the ball, but it also comes back to limiting Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is truly, at least right now as I see it, obviously the Bengals have a couple promising rookies. Truly, as I see it, the only defensive game breaker the Bengals have. If you can take him out of the game as much as possible, very, very reminiscent, and in my mind I remember, of what the Browns did against Nick Bosa 2 years ago in the San Fran game. You didn't hear a peep, really. They can control the line of scrimmage like we expect them to. So offensively, I'm just O-line, keeping Joe Flacco upright because Flacco is the key here. And then defensively, I'm going to stick with my Mason Graham pick. I think when you look at how you want to affect this game, if you're the Browns on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be, limiting the liabilities in your secondary and letting Myles Garrett pin his ears back and go get the quarterback with, one-on-ones for other guys too. But that doesn't happen without Mason Graham early down effectiveness, stopping up the run. And honestly, on third downs, maybe he gets after the quarterback a little bit too, because like you said earlier, probably going to get some one-on-ones now. So those are my two. O-line, Mason Graham. Who is your defensive player to watch?
I just think the domino is too big not to say 95. 95 has such an effect on not only this game, but the entire season. If 95 is working, that means you get guys like Mason Graham and Alex Wright to get single coverage. If Myles Garrett is working, that means that Cameron Mitchell is getting a little bit more slack, and Greg Newsome is getting a little bit more opportunity to cover a guy that may be better than him. And if Denzel Ward is going, that probably means you have a lead in this game. So I know it's the cop-out cliche answer to say, but I mean, imagine if Myles Garrett hip was something that was more than just a oops scare and he wasn't playing this week. That 5.5 spread is probably 7.5 or whatever the case may be. Like, the spread isn't 5.5. So I think, as cliche as it is, man, this game, the defense as a whole is on the back of and legs of Myles Garrett.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more, especially if he's going to get those one-on-ones. And I honestly think we didn't really talk special teams here, but like you said, obviously Andre Smith kicking is a big deal.
7's better than 6.
Exactly. 7's better than 6, and you want to make your field goals when you can. Corey Bojorquez, like you talked about, the field position battle, flipping the field when you need to. It's a lot tougher to operate from the 10 and in instead of the 20 and in as an offense. So if Corey Bojorquez is punting like we know he can, it's going to be a huge difference maker as well. I mean, I hope for Andre Smith's sake that it doesn't come down to a game-winning field goal at the end, but if he gets the opportunity, you got to trust him with what we see in the preseason. You have to.
It's funny you say that because I was just going to go back in history and think about Myles. Well, you mentioned the game winner. How ironic would it be for a new kicker to come in and get that? Myles Garrett started off the season in that same thing, almost sacking Baker Mayfield for a safety. So that special teams plays such a huge factor every week one. How much of a factor will it be this year? Again, I think it's huge. Corey Bojorquez, man, if we could just get one inside their 3-yard line, you're going to set us up for 2 points, buddy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to finish up with our predictions up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Jeff Zay. We're going to wrap up here with our official predictions. Zay, I'll let you go first. If you want to give a score, feel free. I think we're on the same page with the outcome here, but I'm curious. Score prediction. Is it going to be a high-scoring game?
Yeah, I predicted 30-23 on another show, but I think I'm going to alter it a little bit. I was kind of on my high horse there. But I still think that, I've looked back at some of our games with Joe Flacco, the points that we averaged, the times that we played the Bengals or our week one games, and what we got to score 24 points or more. So I'm going to go 27-17 Browns.
Whoa.
I know that's a bold prediction. It probably should be a lot closer than that, but I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go kind of fandom here, and I'm just gonna go with my mindset. I think that if the Browns can start this game out fast, not slow, I don't want them to go 3 and out here. You need to come out. We need a 9-10 play drive for about 7 minutes, and we need to see that offense rolling. And if we can do that and give Jim Schwartz a 7-0 lead, it's going to get very, very fun, very, very fast. So I like our chances, man. You stop them early. I give them their little couple touchdowns and a field goal. But I think our defense is going to show everybody that we top 3 this year.
I don't know if I can get down with that. I think it's a lot.
We held them to 3, all right? We've done it before. Granted, it was raining.
That's a different defense. I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit more.
What you mean? Well, how different?
Well, you had more than. I'm going to be as nice as possible here. The secondary was less of a liability, I think. I
Fair.
think he felt more confident in the secondary. Not going to lie, I think walking into week 1, the defensive line was a little bit better. I know.
What?
I do. Yeah.
I think I beg to differ on that. Well, who's the it was Obo, Dalvin,
Zadarius Smith, right?
Okay. Zadarius.
I think we all, not just like singling, we all overlook how good the defense in 2023 was. Just the personnel. I thought the linebacker room was still pretty good as well. But regardless, I think it's a close game. I can't see the Browns winning by more than a touchdown, to be honest with you, but I do think they win. I think at home, controlling the line of scrimmage really on both sides of the ball, having some success offensively through the air, and ultimately just putting Joe Burrow in a situation where he's uncomfortable, where he can't just sit in the pocket for 3 seconds and throw a ball 50 yards down the field to one of the receivers he has on his team. The Browns will, I think, avoid those situations. Like, I think if you stop up the run, you do what you can to affect Joe Burrow, they're going to be in better situations than we think offensively. I said it all show. I think the Bengals will get theirs. I think Jamar Chase will get his. I think T. Higgins will get his. It's the reality of it. But I think the Browns win this game. I think they do enough defensively, especially in the red zone when push really comes to shove and you try to run the ball. I trust the Browns a little more. I think they win 24-23.
I can get down with that. So that means somebody's winning it at the end.
I think honestly, I think it's a Browns defensive stop to win the game.
I see a pick. When's the last time we saw a pick six? I think it was a couple years ago. I think we're due.
Was it Newsom's against the Ravens?
Well, I'm talking about during the Bengals. We've had a couple during the Bengals, I think, and Ward's responsible for them.
Yeah, well, Denzel Ward did have the 99 or 100-yard one, that's for sure. I'm trying to think of when the last time the Browns just got a pick six was, period.
You want a hot take?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I think Carson Schlesinger is going to get him one.
Wow, I'd love that.
Welcome to the NFL.
I would love nothing more than that. A little check down that's through Chase Brown's hands over him into Carson Schlesinger's mitts, just like this. You don't even have to think about it.
I think it's going to be one of those underestimated. You're going to hear Joe at the press conference say, "Well, I saw Carson there, and I just thought I could slip it in there, and Carson's just too good." You know what I'm saying? So, hey, plus 3,000, better get that in.
I hope you're right. But we're on the same page. Browns take this one. This is one of the ones where I think a lot of people are on the same page that they can win it, which is honestly terrifying. But I think it comes from a good place of understanding that the line of scrimmage on both sides, the Browns have an advantage. They've had success historically against the Bengals. And honestly, you just have to feel like the Browns offense can have success against a defense that wasn't very good last year and didn't really, in my opinion, get better. I also think first week under a new DC, obviously they've had camp. It's hard. When real bullets are flying, it's hard. It's hard. And I think Kevin Stefanski's offense will take advantage of it. Joe Flacco will take advantage of it. I trust them. I trust them above anything else. Ready to get my heart broken. It's week 1, but I do trust them.
I'm no heartbreaks here. Like I keep telling you, like I keep stamping on the table for, Joe Flacco is going to start this 2025 season 2-0. Familiar opponent, 16, 17 years ago. Rewind to Joe Flacco's 50-yard touchdown run against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then only to go into Baltimore, watch them stroke Joe Flacco's ego only for him to throw for a whopping 300 yards and spoil their whole 30-year celebration. 2-0 is on the horizon, boys.
Oh, I hope you're right. Let's start 1-0 before we get there, though. Any final words before we sign off, Zay?
Here we go, Roddies. Here we go.
Good Mike fell, but I'm so pumped. If you guys are in the Muni lot, we will obviously be down there. Check us out. We'll be by the wedding for a little bit. I know you'll be watching the game from the RV. You'll be by the RV. I'll be in the stadium. Anybody going to the stadium, make sure you say what's up if you see me. We will see you guys next time. We appreciate you watching and listening. Go Browns.